We should, right? Welcome back to another episode. We're grateful to be over here filming at Snapshot Interactive. And my guest today, now, of course, I say every time, this is going to be my favorite episode. But this is going to be my favorite episode. My guest is Crystal Shawanda, who we met years ago at Tootsie's. But Crystal, let me just tell you, Indigenous badass female from Canada who had stepped on stage the first time at 6, recorded her first album at 13, moved to Nashville when she was 16, was told by a dum-dum she wouldn't make it. Am I right?
Yes.
She was told here in Nashville that Indigenous people will not be successful in country music. She believed him for a hot second and left and came back, proved that wrong, became, I'm going to read this specifically because I don't want to get it wrong. I just love people defying odds, but came back and boom. Signed with RCA Records early in her career, had her breakthrough hit, Of Course You Can Let Go, first Indigenous artist to win a Juno Award for Blues Album of the Year. Her latest album, which is so good, I've been listening to it all week, and obnoxiously it's kind of in my head on repeat, but her latest album, Sing Pretty Blues, debuted at number 2 on Canada's blues charts. And she just won, actually, like last week, right?
Yes.
Female Vocalist of the Year, the Blues Awards out in Canada. Please make welcome to the show my dear friend, soon to be yours, Crystal Shawanda. Hello.
Hello. So good to be here with you. It's been forever.
It's been too long.
It has.
And with all those accolades I just said, and that just is the tip of the iceberg, what I want to say, most importantly, is that you are one of the most authentic people I've ever come in contact with, both personally and just watching from afar.
For sure.
Kudos.
Oh, thank you. It's it's all I can be is me.
What? Yeah. Tried it other way to work.
Right. Yeah. I just it's like, it's like that expression trying to fit into a square box, it just doesn't work. So I've learned to just embrace all the different things about me and celebrate them.
Well, I celebrate you. I'm so happy you're here. I always start the show. First of all, we take a deep breath together because I get real excitable. So, and this is for everybody listening and watching too. Zach and Seamus, you guys, crew in the back as well. Everyone, breathe with me. It's one of the simplest things in the world and something we forget to do, which is weird.
For real.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Jesus.
Yes, I needed that.
Me too.
Rushing around all morning.
Right, yeah. Mom life, work life,
right,
parents in town, all the things. So the other thing I like to start and ask, in this time of life, in this time of sitting here right now and in this time of life, what are you specifically grateful for?
Oh, I'm grateful for my family. That's the thing that I'm most grateful for, and my health, so that I can be there for my family. Just this moment is watching my daughter grow up and watching my husband come into his own as who he is as a person, as a producer. Yes, for sure.
So Crystal and I met at Tootsie's. You had already been singing there a few years because if I remember correctly, Daddy was a truck driver.
Yes.
I'm not about to write a country song. Daddy actually was a truck driver and would bring you down to Nashville when you were an early teenager to sing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We started making trips down here when I was about 12 years old. And we would park at the truck stop that used to be over there by the stadium.
Yeah.
And we would park there and we would walk across the bridge and we would just walk up and down Broadway and just watch and listen and learn. And my dad taught me very early on, talk to people, visit people, ask questions. And we would try to learn everything we could about Nashville and the business and just picking people's brains, whoever would give us the time of day. And then sometimes I would get up and sing. And so it became like every long school weekend or March break or summer break, me and my mom would pile in the truck and hit the road with him.
Hit the road.
Yes.
And what I remember, because you, like I said, you're also several years younger than me, but you were already singing at Tootsie's when I arrived. And I just remember looking up to you, even though you were younger than me, but you had like so much wisdom already, A, because you'd been there, and B, because you're just clearly a wise old soul, period. I mean, it's a total compliment, obviously.
Thank you.
And watching you will. And so D. Wayne, your husband, who's going to join us in a little bit for you guys to perform. He was playing guitar free. That's how y'all met.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Well, I was, it was the whole struggle. Like I was playing in the back room and I couldn't keep a band together. I would book a band, then they wouldn't show up because they'd find a better gig,
Or be drunk or
yeah,
hungover.
or something.
Yeah.
And then Greg Humphrey, who was, our, rock guru, music mentor, extraordinaire on Broadway. He was like, hey, I know a guitar player I think would be perfect for you, so I'm going to send him in on the next show. And but he's going to be playing on the shift after you tonight so you guys can meet before you guys actually play. And so I noticed a guy who walked in the bar. I noticed him right away. And I was very shy, very introverted. I was fresh off the reservation, so I was very quiet and shy.
And how old at this time?
Well, at that time, this was my second time coming back to Nashville. So I was 21 at that time. And so I noticed him, and he came up to me right away. He said, hey, you have an amazing voice, and I'd love to play guitar for you. And he introduced himself. I'm like, oh, okay, this is the guy. And he gave me his phone number, and he said, if you want to write, in between now and the next show, when we play, let's write. And I remember his hand was a little bit shaky. He was all nervous. And we just hit it off right away. I said, I don't know about the guitar playing part, but I'll give you a call. And we started writing and playing together, and it just happened so fast. And 6 months later, we were married. So fast.
Boom.
Yeah.
And then creating life together.
Yes.
Which we'll talk about as well, because you guys have very matter-of-factly created the life you want, not the life you're told
yes.
we should have, like on a lot of levels, which I've been thinking a lot lately about doing life differently.
Yes.
And making life work for you and not the other way around.
Yes.
So I want to talk to you about that here in a second, because I think so many people walk blindly through the road, whether you're whatever you do in life, doesn't matter.
Sure.
And just do the things we're supposed to do because it's what comes next.
Yes.
And you realize, you're like, am I doing that because it makes me happy, or that's what society says? And it's usually B.
Right. Because there's the idea of happiness, and then there's actually being happy. And success looks different to everybody, and you have to be careful to make choices that you're actually building the life that you want, not building the life that looks successful to other people.
Because what the heck is that?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, because I tried that, and it wasn't any fun. I was like, why am I not enjoying this?
This isn't fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so to go back to gratitude, the other side of the gratitude coin, though, is what is heavy on you right now, besides the obvious weights of the world? What is heavy on you that maybe is something more that you can control in your own vortex?
Just what I receive is like from the world is like, as a musician, as an Indigenous artist, sometimes I face negativity still from both sides, sometimes from my own people, but also sometimes I still experience racism throughout my experience going out in the world, performing, social media, that sort of thing. But I don't even consider that the heaviest. The heaviest thing on me is like, I just want to keep this moment right now with my daughter, with my parents. Life is fleeting and it's flying by. I think that's the heaviest thing on me, is like, I'm watching that clock ticking and the days flying by, and I'm like, why is it going so fast? And I wish I could slow it down. That's the heaviest thing on me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, that's practicing presence, which is hard to do. But I'm a little bit back, because it's baffling when I hear even the word racism. Not that we have to like harp on this, but it's baffling to me. I want to be like, wait, that still happens? What?
Right.
It's just shocking to me. But it's probably why, correct me if I'm wrong, why maybe the family element is even more important. It's like you find your safety in where you are comfortable.
Yes.
And
safe.
And safe. Have you, since this is a show about the healing power of writing, let's go back then, because you've lived a lot of life. Not trying to call you real hard, but but you've lived a lot of life in a great way, seen a lot, done a lot. And a lot of that came before you got to Nashville, like growing up.
For sure.
On the reservation back in Canada. You've seen a lot. I mean, I've seen a very powerful music video of yours for the song, The Indigenous Woman. What's the song called?
Oh, Pray Sister Pray, maybe?
Pray Sister Pray. Guys, we'll put a link to that song below and that video, because it, without people like you, people like me wouldn't even or TV shows, which are made
Right.
up, but you're writing from experience. So what I really want to talk to you about, because I've sort of made it a point recently to not form opinions about people or experiences unless I myself have been a part of it, seen it,
For sure.
whatever.
That's how I am too.
That's important.
Yeah.
So when you write, say, Pray Sister Pray, or anything that's some of the harder subject matters, let's say, that is real life lived experience,
Right.
how do you write for something like that? Tell stories, say, of the women and the people you know from the reservation. How do you write and tell those stories with all the emotion possible and to be able to get your point across, and also kind of toe the line when it's not your story specifically?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. You know, with that song specifically, Pray Sister Pray, I was telling other people's stories, you know, but
Right.
I was seeing myself in it because, you know, Pray Sister Pray, it's about the missing and murdered Indigenous women across Canada. We have the highest numbers of any race when it comes to missing and murdered. And it's and there's one highway specifically in Canada, in British Columbia, where a lot of women have gone missing. Women who were like hitchhiking to get from point A to point B because it's a very isolated area of highway, and you know people are trying to get to the more main cities. There's a lot of Indigenous communities in isolated areas, so sometimes they're trying to get to the cities, you know, and opportunities and finding jobs or getting to their family members who are located in other areas. And so with that song, those are basically stories that I've heard from women being on the road. Because when I'm on the road at meet and greets, you know, a lot of people come to meet me, get autographs, get pictures. But a lot of Indigenous women come to me and they share their stories with me. And then sometimes, you know, like the person, like in the song, I make a reference to Billy Rose, you know, and the name was actually the name of a woman who gave me a ride to the airport, her daughter. And I had just read a story about another woman who had gone missing and she left behind children. And after reading the story, I looked down at that lady's little girl. She said, I hope it's okay. I brought my daughter with me to give you a ride. I couldn't get a babysitter. I said, yeah, that's fine. And as I was getting out of the car, I looked at that little girl and I remember thinking, like, because usually when I speak to Indigenous youth, I always tell them, don't be afraid to leave your communities, step outside of the circle, go off, get educated, find opportunity. You can always come back to your communities and bring what you've learned back, you know, because don't be afraid to leave. But it was the first time in my life where I thought, I hope she doesn't leave. I hope she stays in her community where she'll be safe. And then I thought, oh, I don't want to start thinking that way. I want to keep encouraging these kids to leave and find opportunities and find education and do what they need to do to build their quality of life in a good way, you know? And so I thought, I'm going to turn this into a song because I don't want this to turn into a fear-mongering thing where we're scared to leave again, you know? And so that was the start of the song. And I went to my husband, I said, I want to write this song, and that's how we're going to start it. And so that was the beginning. And so that entire song is basically pieces of different stories of different actual Indigenous women who have gone missing in Canada. And I just put them together. And even things that their families have said in interviews, I put it in the song. And you know, and so in the song, I'm not speaking in first person. I'm talking about this is what's happening,
Right,
you know.
right,
but we need to, as Indigenous women, we need to remember our place in our community was, you know, we were always it's like that expression of like, you know, I always say like Anishinaabe women, that's who I am, the tribe I'm from, is we're very strong. And we are leaders in our homes and our communities. And we need to remember that. And prayer has always been our way of staying strong, staying close to who we are, staying close to the Creator, and staying on our right path, right? And so if we can encourage all our young Indigenous women to remember these things, then they'll stay on a good path and stay away from those things that could cause them harm.
Wow. The don't be afraid to leave sentiment is really bold and beautiful and such a simple yet powerful reminder. I'm curious how much you think, like, I've kind of always say that I feel like the more we talk about the bad things or whatever,
Right.
the less the bad things can exist. The more
Yes.
we say, this is what's happening, I'm not going to let it happen anymore,
Yes.
the more it can't. Do you, is that naive to say, because I don't have the lived experience that you do from growing up there on the reservation, and you've seen and you know these stories personally. Is that naive to say, share these stories, that's a way to shift? Or what, in your opinion, what would bring that to, I mean, because people talk about it, we make movies, we dramatize it, but I don't know how much that shifts it. What, in your opinion, will shift that culture?
I think that absolutely, the more we talk about it, the more awareness there is. You know, like when I wrote that song, I was thinking of myself as a young person when I left home. I wasn't as aware. And because I grew up in, I grew up on a reservation in the midst of, a community that's trying to heal itself from intergenerational trauma. So I grew up around a lot of alcoholism, addiction, depression, suicide. By the time I was 10 years old, I had spent like 4 years at the church. By the time I was 11 years old, I spent like 4 years at the church just attending funeral after funeral. And a lot of them were alcohol-related deaths, And so I was very aware of all of this, but I wasn't aware of the dangers out there. So when I left home, I was a little naive. And when I think back to situations, like I could have died many, many, many times. I put myself in danger. And so I think the more that we talk about it and the more we share, like what you're saying, more people, when they leave home, they'll be a little more cautious, a little more careful, and because I grew up in such a kind of like a tough environment, when I left the reserve, sometimes I tended to think that I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof, like I can handle myself. I can take any man, I've done it before and I'll do it again, but that's ridiculous.
Right,
It's like it's not good to be that fearless. You should be cautious. You should be aware. And I was just really lucky.
Cautiously fearless. That'll be your next album.
That is a good one. Yeah, but I was looking back. I was just very lucky. I'm lucky to still be alive. Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to. I mean, I believe if you're here, you're supposed to be here.
For sure.
Period.
Absolutely.
So I think, okay, this is my take. I don't know. You shifted out of country and you're a badass blues artist and have been now for quite some time.
Yeah.
You made that shift, 20 years ago?
I think I switched to blues. When was I made my official? 2015 was when I recorded my first blues album when I released it. Yes.
Okay. It's about 11 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years. I'm trying to make us older than
right.
we are. Just because everything hurts that I'm dying.
Right. I get it.
But for me, blues is, and I don't mean this in a good or bad any way at all.
Yeah.
It's like I realized, because I've just been listening, knowing you were going to come on, I've been listening both to you and some other blues, just
right.
like in the background getting in my head. And I realized, to me, blues is, in my opinion, more about the emotion than the storytelling. Now, I know the storytelling is obviously in there.
Right.
But I realize, I'm like, oh, wow, I don't think I've been listening to blues properly. If I think that, then I haven't been listening properly.
Right.
Because I don't know, I can tell you like riffs and the emotion and the roller coaster that it takes us on vocally,
yes.
especially with someone like you, which y'all are about to hear in a minute. But what is your take on that when you go to write a blues song? I'm not asking your process of writing, because this show is for people. The idea is to encourage people to write, period. Not to become a professional one, but you got to get your shit out.
Absolutely.
And so when you go to write a blues song, if you're trying to connect with someone, say me, who just a rando, how do you sort of navigate, is it conscious or not, navigate slipping in both emotion and balancing that with storytelling, knowing that you're going to soar, but you also have something to say?
It just comes naturally, like the song kind of tells me where it wants to go, and the emotion, like when I'm saying something a little bit more painful or a little bit more meaningful to the point of the song, in the chorus, that's when I know that I need to let out more, and like that's what blues music is about. It's all about the release, and that's what I love about it. Like I still love country music, but what I love about blues is that I'm not trying to fit my voice into a little box. With blues, I can just let it fly. It's like letting a bird out of a cage, right? And that's what singing, that's what songwriting, that's what writing should be. It's a release, right? All the things we're afraid to say.
Love that word. Release.
Yes, absolutely. It's like everything we're afraid to say out loud. It's like this is our space to say it. and we can just say it, and that's what it's all about. And so and even like when it comes to writing, I don't think like I need to write a blues song, because I became a blues singer. Just it was so natural. Like I was just writing these songs for my second country album, and then I was like, these aren't really sounding country. I don't think these would fit on country radio. And then we did a blues album, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm a blues singer.
Now I'm a blues singer.
Yeah, and it just felt right, and so. But you're right. It is a lot about the emotion, and and a lot of people think blues music is just like kind of like wah wah sad, but it's more about like, let's let out the cry, let's cry it out, let's release it, and then let's dance it out and have a really good time, because it feels so good to not have that burdening us, weighing us down anymore, because we've released it into the universe. So now we can celebrate together. And so if you go to a blues show or a blues festival, you'll see a lot of people dancing, and they dance in their own way, and you can see them releasing it, and it's quite magical. Like nobody cares. Like they dance like no one's watching. And they feel the song when it's a song that connects to them. I just see them come out there, and I could see them. They're releasing it, and it's really cool to watch.
Okay, I love, first of all, dance like no one's watching. I just have a vision of everybody's half-bath little sign. The little signs, all the TJ Maxx signs.
Right.
No, but this is such a cool take on blues that I'd never thought about. So what it made me think about, I had the other day, and I wrote about this recently. I like laid down and had this massive release of some trauma I was carrying around, well, just to be honest, around not carrying a child. And I didn't realize it was something I hadn't dealt with yet.
Right.
And I laid down, and I kind of just had said this silent prayer, like, whatever is I'm holding in me that needs to be released, please let it go. And whoa, I just like started scream crying. I'm so glad my husband was out.
Right.
Because I was just like, it probably sounded like we live in the woods, like some sort of dying animal. And I wasn't sad while it was happening. I was very aware that like, this is something I just need to get out. And then I like had a final kind of cry, and then I was like, I'm good. And like, then I went to lunch.
Right.
And so that's what you just made me think of talking about blues music. People like can come and to one of your shows or a blues show, and the artist is wailing, so they can wail, be loud, and not feel like it's not like you're at the Bluebird having to be quiet.
Yeah, no.
You can wail, get it out, and then you're like free to move. And
right.
Do you feel that when you write, have you ever been writing and been like, oh, I just, like something just happened, something just turned over, and I just kind of shifted gears and released something? Oh,
all the time. Absolutely. It's like, this is something that's been bothering me, and when I write about it, it's not bothering me anymore, because it's that's what it's all about. When we're writing those songs, it's like you said, like writing a diary. It's cheap therapy, and getting to that point in a song, it's everything. Whether it's funny or good or bad or sad, and especially those sad ones and those hard ones, that's when it's all about that release. It just is.
Love this idea of the release. Okay, speaking of release, I would love for you to release some vocals in a second. We're going to grab D. Wayne. You call him D? D. Wayne?
D. Wayne.
D. Wayne. My dad's name is Delisle. And so I love when I met Dwayne. Because I grew up, I was like, why is my dad Delisle? And then I met D. Wayne, who was so cool. And I'm like, oh, my dad's probably cooler than I gave him credit for. We're going to bring him in, if you don't mind, Seamus. And what song do you know what song you're going to sing? Or are you letting the spirit lead?
We do that a lot. No, but we're going to do the title track of my newest album, Sing Pretty Blues. And this song was a song that me and D. Wayne wrote together, and it was inspired by a conversation I had with a photographer. And the photographer was like, I just came off stage, and he was like, oh, amazing show, Crystal, as always. He goes, I think I got some good shots of you, but I'm not really sure because you don't really sing pretty, so sometimes it's hard to get a good pic of you. And I'm like, what's that supposed to mean?
That's the strangest compliment.
But I decided to flip it and turn it into a compliment, which is something I'm really good at. And so, we wanted to write this song about this, because he's right. I don't sing pretty. I scrunch up my face when I sing. I'm healing a different part of myself with every song. And every time I sing those songs, sometimes they take on new meaning every time I sing them. And, and healing is not always pretty. And so we wanted to write this song to encourage everybody out there to, not only heal themselves, but also to embrace all the parts of themselves, even the ones that aren't so pretty. There's so much pressure on people on how you look when you do things. It's like, whether it's singing or, playing hockey or working in your yard or whatever it is you do, it's like there's always this pressure on appearance. And it's like it shouldn't be about how we look. It should be how much heart we put into what we do, how much we care about what we do.
Well, if you're talking about release, then releasing stuff doesn't look magical. It's getting it all out.
It can get ugly.
Well, and I love this. I'm so glad. I assumed you were going to do this song. I hoped you'd do the song. If you go and watch the video, watch them performing. Their beautiful daughter, Jaja, sings backups for you on it, which is amazing.
Does.
Is she 9 now?
She's 9 years old. Yes.
9 years old. So go check it out. I listen to the song, and as you guys are listening, one thing that I totally stands out to me when you sing, as I'm watching American Idol right now. I love it.
Me too.
Right now.
I do. I love American Idol.
I love the
I've
stories.
Always loved it.
I love it too. But they talk about when they're giving their critiques. Sometimes they'll be like, take us on an emotional roller coaster with your vocals. You are. I don't know anyone else personally that can do this. That can start at 11 and somehow still go somewhere. Still take me on an emotional roller coaster. It is incredible. It's incredible what you do. Your power, but your controlled power, which I think is the coolest balance. So as you're listening, watch for that. This is Mr. D. Wayne over here.
Wayne Strobel.
Not only husband and baby daddy, but also co-writer, producer, engineer, band leader,
chauffeur, chef, scratch and post,
punching bag,
eye candy. There it is. I met Dee singing at Tootsie's ages ago too, and it was funny when you guys pulled up today and I saw you. It was like this comfort. It was such a nostalgia for our early days in Nashville, that were both amazing memories and also such a toxic time as well, playing downtown on Broadway. It's such a weird, tumultuous.
We pulled a sentence together, didn't we, down at the Purple Prison?
With a Purple Prison. So Dee and Crystal gonna perform, guys. Buckle up. This duo, has so much soul, and I'm just so grateful you're here. So, thank you for sharing your voice and your talent, friend.
I don't sing pretty, but I shake the earth beneath my shoes. Move a rockin' steady. I won't get used to getting used. No. No, I don't sing pretty, but I sing every word straight to you. Sing pretty, sing pretty, pretty. Sing pretty, sing pretty. Come at me petty, and your ego might get bruised. Act like a lady when I'm ready. You don't get to tell me what to do. No. No, I don't sing pretty, but I sing every word straight to you. Oh yeah, hey. Sing pretty, sing pretty, pretty. Sing pretty, ooh, sing pretty. Sing pretty. Now some just won't get me, but this is my church, this is my truth. Oh, but that don't leave me empty, 'cause I've got a right to preach these blues. No, I don't sing pretty, but I sing every word straight to you. Oh yeah, hey. Sing pretty, ooh, sing pretty, pretty. 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 Sing pretty.
Yes. What I discovered is I don't listen pretty. I was like, I see where stank face comes from. I
Right.
was watching you like, I'm making weird faces right now.
It's hard not to, and it feels good, you know.
It feels good. Do you actually? I was gonna do another song later, but since Dee's right here, do you want to knock another one out now?
Sure.
no,
Yeah.
I
Do
can
we
get
want
out of your way
something?
so I
Do
don't
we want
bump into
something?
things.
No, it's not that.
Do
I
we want
just
something fun or something? Want to do
well,
something?
let's. I mean, if you don't have a fixed idea, considering the show is called "We Should Write," a show about the healing power of writing.
Right.
What is something? Which one, if you're deciding between one or two, what would what and why would fall into that category? Because here's the thing, I really, like I said earlier, we're trying to convince people they got to write their stuff down, because if not, you will end up crying in a public place, been there, or get worse, get cancer, get disease. That's disease in
Absolutely.
your body
You
if
gotta
you're
let
not
it go.
releasing. Yeah. So what's something you have that speaks to that?
Once, the thing about writing songs with her is like, she starts singing a melody and I start, trying to figure out what that is. But we started talking about her friends in past relationships and in the industry, what he wanted to do is to quit messing with you. And like, I don't know, you tell that.
Yeah, we'll do a fun one. This one
Okay.
is, but this is all about release too. So this song is called "Stop Funking Me Around."
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, and me and Dwayne wrote this, and this was all about stories, nightmare stories that I've heard from my friends who are getting back into the dating scene and in the current market. And it's like, hearing a story of a friend who said, they had a date and they went walking and talking for like hours and hours, and and the next morning she went to send him a message and he had her blocked. Or somebody thinking they were really clicking with this guy, and then to find out he was clicking with 4 other women.
He was clicking,
as well.
all right. Dude, I anytime that my husband and I are arguing, which is rare, in the back of my head, I'm like, arguing is better than trying to find something new. So I have a friend who went on a date, and the guy I'm not even kidding, guy went up to go to the bathroom and didn't come back. And she thought, leading up to it, she's like, this is going great. He's probably going to the bathroom to get a condom out. I don't know, whatever. And then he didn't come back. And she was like, what is happening? So I do not envy, I'm with you, do not envy my friends in the dating scene, and trying to find somebody authentically is gnarly. So what is this song called?
This is called "Stop Funking Me Around."
Oh, right.
So this is for everyone out there trying to deal with that. Hey, 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 baby, you know I'm wild about you, hey, but it's so hard to tell all the lies from the truth. If you don't wanna love me, Hey, 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 baby, you know I'm wild about you, but it's so hard to tell all the lies from the truth. If you don't want to love me, just stop fogging me around. Hey, all right, baby.
Come on, baby. Come on.
Yeah. All right, Dwayne.
Do you fall in love with her again every time when you hear her sing?
You know what? We've been married for 23 years.
Put that on your over to you for a
We've
second.
been married 23 years. I don't argue with her ever.
Smart.
She knows it all, and I know very little.
Great.
And
Smartest man
just
over there.
every time she opens her mouth, I'm just like, my queen. So, yeah.
So if you're looking for dating advice, just say what he just said, whether you
That's
believe it or not.
It's very simple. I mean, it's, you don't have to overcomplicate it. She's right.
She's right.
And we stay married.
You agree, Seamus? 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, dear.
Absolutely.
Yes, dear.
Absolutely.
Dear.
Yes, ma'am.
But we do though. We fall like I always say that it's like working together. Like sometimes we'll be bickering. We're on the road and we're stressed out. We're running late. We're trying to get Jaja on stage, trying to get set up. We're kind of at each other's throats a little bit. Snapping at each other a little bit. And we get on stage and we start playing and we're like, oh yeah, here we are.
This is what.
Yeah,
This is
who
why we
are.
do it.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? That's
Yes,
nice to
it
remember.
is. And
Of course,
you find
you're
your
gonna fight.
rhythm, get back into your rhythm as a couple, and you're like, this is us right here.
This is
all
us.
that other stuff. That's just the noise. Yeah.
I'm just a noise.
You're just a noise. Thank you, noise, for joining us. You can walk away now, sir. You're released of your duties.
That's how it goes. I get used and sent away.
Used and abused. I'm glad you. Oh,
Watch your corner.
no trip. No, I like that. You said at the very beginning of the interview, and I really like that you said we've kind of settled in. We've been together long enough now to know this is it.
Yes.
And I think that's a really interesting take on a relationship, quite
Right.
frankly, because it's like there's no perfect relationship.
Right,
There's
right.
nobody
No.
that you could live with that would be easy.
No.
We were actually at dinner last night talking about the idea of separate beds or even separate houses, and how we know some people that do it and they
Right,
seem
right.
really happy.
Right. I
We're like-
totally get it. I mean, you got to do what works for you at the end of the day, right? And I think sometimes a lot when people are arguing in relationships, I think sometimes it's out of fear too. It's like sometimes you're like you're scared. Like, am I the only one in this deep? And then so sometimes that's how arguments start, is because you're not really sure where the other person is at. Are they as into this as you are? Which is like what that song was just all about. And but with me and Dwayne, we've been through so much, like so many things, and so many people have tried to split us up, in the industry. Like when I signed my first record deal, like people thought it was the worst thing in the world to have a guitar player who I was married to. It's like,
How
but
dare you be happy?
Yes, how dare you be happy? Like, everything was questioned, from like my husband being my guitar player to even my dad and my brother being the drivers for my tour bus. They're like, why are they driving for you? Because they actually care about me. And the last bus driver you hired almost crashed. But like I know my
They can't control that. If it's your family, they can't control it.
Meanwhile, I know for a fact my dad and my brother are not, downing what are those pills called? Those bennies that keep them up all night. They don't do that. So, and they care. And when one gets tired, they're going to switch off. So it was they should have been so happy that I was surrounded by this, support system.
Yeah.
But it was considered a very, very bad thing. And people tried to, get me to fire my bus drivers, my dad and my brother, and fire your husband and you have to get your family all the way and then everything will happen for you. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Guys, what you just heard was the terrible control of the music business.
Yep.
And it's what, I mean, you had a record deal for a hot minute until you wised up and realized it wasn't your best interest.
Right.
I'm not saying that not all are good. I never had one. I was always scared of probably failure, but also somebody I mean, I'm not good with authority, and I'm guessing you're not either.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
But you know, during that period, though, I really did try to be teacher's pet because I've always been a little bit of an outlaw. But when I signed that record deal, I recognized it as a huge opportunity to learn from some of the best in the business.
Sure.
And so that's what I did. I always had my little notebook. I was always writing in it. I wrote down everybody's names, their wives' names, their kids' name at radio stations when we did the radio tours. You know, I paid attention to things like that and how interviews are done, how music videos are done, how photo shoots are done. And so when I parted ways with RCA Records and I was like, okay, let's start our own label, I pulled up my little notebook. And that's what I used
Boom.
to do everything. I still refer to that notebook when I'm conducting business and taking care of the artists that we work with at my record label, New Sun Music. And so, you know, I did learn a lot, but I also learned a lot about who I am and who I don't want to be, you know, and through that business. But sometimes, even though I was teacher's pet and Johnny on the spot, it still was never enough, you know. And so after a while, I started to realize that, you know, in this business, everybody has their own agenda. You know, like this A&R person wanted me out of the way because they wanted to sign the next American Idol winner, you know, and this agent needed me because they were trying to win over my manager because they wanted to actually book some of the bigger artists that my manager was managing. So it's like everybody had their own agenda, you know. And
Not
then,
even necessarily malicious, but everyone wants the best for their own life.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Everybody's building the life that they want. So you just can't take offense by it, but you also have to be aware of it and try to maneuver and steer your own ship so it goes in the direction that you want it to go in. And when you're aware that you don't get your feelings as hurt, you're like, okay, I get it. You're just trying to do that because of that. But I'm not going to, you know. So all that awareness. And I learned from all of it, though. You know, it made me stronger, and it's made me a more confident person in the music business because, you know, despite all that, I have thrived regardless, you know, and it helped me thrive. All the people that I did work with, I worked with a lot of amazing people, and, you know, I worked with some weren't amazing. But some were
Like
really...
who? Let's say their names. Just list. Do you have a list in that notebook?
But some were really amazing, though. And I did learn a lot, and I took it with me, and I still take it with me every day. And I'm grateful for that period of my life because it's given me the opportunity to learn what I know now, and I can pass those teachings on to all the artists that I produce and mentor today. So,
You know, I think
it's very helpful.
It's a good reminder, too, that on the human side of it, that I think ultimately we all want the same thing at the end of the day. We want to survive, we want to thrive, and we want our family to be supported and taken care of. And, you know, so it's a reminder, even in the what might seem negative or people out to get you. I don't think people are as much out to get you as they are to level themselves up, you know?
Absolutely.
But a really cool, actually, I think you just gave a big nugget, keys to the kingdom, that what an interesting take on writing. You said that you were writing down everything you saw, like keeping track of everybody and everything and what's working, what's not. What an interesting way to keep a journal with you if you're new at a job or you're out on the road. We have a lot of truck drivers who watch and listen. I'm always amazed how many truck drivers don't write about what's going on around them. Or my husband, who travels the world, he hasn't written it down. I'm always like, you've seen so much, and maybe talk. You know, what's your take on? You've got to back to be present. Be present. I want to experience the things I'm seeing,
right?
But I also want to remember them because I don't trust all my memories. So how do you balance that to be present, but also?
It's hard because there's things that I wish I remembered that I don't remember. You know, like sometimes, like I said, my dad and my brother were my tour bus drivers for many years. And so sometimes my dad would be like, oh, you're passing through such and such town. Oh, that's where we did this and this happened. I'm like, did that happen? Where was that? Where was I? You were with me. Was I? I don't remember that. You know, like that busiest part of my life was like a beautiful blur. But my dad remembers so much. And actually, the notebook thing, I got that from him as a truck driver. He always had a little notebook, and he would write down things about cities that he needed to remember, like if there was like a weird, like, oh, you can't get off on that highway, or that highway is always like this, or this part of town, you got to watch for this, those kinds of things. He would always write that down. So that's kind of where I got that from. He always had it right by his, like when he was driving by his wheel, he had his little notebook, his little pencil, and he was always writing in there. So
I love that.
yeah, so
That's a great take on We Should Write.
Where I got it from. And, and it is important to write about your feelings. Like when I was growing up, I didn't just write songs, but I used to get, I still have all these books. And when I look back at them, I'm like, whoa, I was disturbed. But like growing up on the reservation and things I was going through, I'd have a bad day and I'd come home and I'd open this book and I would just write about everything. It wasn't poetry. It wasn't stories. It wasn't just even
flowing.
Yeah, just like a diary, I guess, and when I look back at those books, I'm like, wow, I know that's what saved me. When I look through those books, the things that I was going through, the trauma I experienced, things that nobody knew about, not even my parents, nobody, I was keeping it hidden, and things that happened to me. But when I wrote about it, it was releasing it, right? And it wasn't mine anymore. And so when I look back at those books now, I know that's the only reason why I'm still alive, is because I did that, because things could have went so differently for me. And when I look back at some of my family and some of my old friends, and who are still struggling today with addiction, now there's new addictions moving into our communities. Now it's not alcoholism, now it's things like meth and fentanyl. And so I'm watching people who I grew up with struggling with that. And so I know it's those books, it's these songs, it's all of this writing. What you're saying is letting it go, just let it go and stop holding on to it. Sometimes we tend, as human beings, we have this tendency to wrap our sadness around ourselves and we just want to sit in it.
Yeah. Well,
and it's okay to do that for a minute, but you got to shake it off, find a way to release it, whether it's writing about it or working out, sports, or, music, singing along at the top of your lungs, driving down the road and crying your eyes out. Those are all really great ways to
love doing that, driving and crying, man. And I think some people, maybe I'm being too general here, but I think some people, specifically men, think writing your stuff down, your feelings in a journal, is weak or silly, or like, oh, I don't need to do that. But I when I started doing the show, I had a couple people say to me, like, especially when I was specifically on a trucking network, they're like, why are you going to talk about writing to truck drivers? And I'm like, well, because they're humans, ding dong. Right. And like, hello. And it's amazing what people are sharing with me that they didn't even remember that happened. If you just, like, to your point of just kind of flow writing, sit down, get your grocery list out first, and then just start flow writing. I think you find versions of yourself you didn't even know existed. And also, I think you can be like, oh, that happened to me. I just unlocked that.
Yes.
Now it's gone. Now I've released it instead of holding it in.
Absolutely.
Right?
And also what you're saying about truck drivers, what do truck drivers do when they're driving? They listen to music. Music is a big part of their lives. All the truck drivers I've ever known growing up, my dad, my brothers, my uncle, music was what kept them awake. It's what kept them going. And I really feel like it was my dad and my brother's therapy, and especially my one brother, he just recently retired from driving just a few months ago because he drove truck. Then he came and drove bus for me. Then he went back to truck driving. And he's not like, he talks, but he's not super talkative, and he's not a big sharer, so it's hard to get him to talk about his emotions and his feelings. But music is how he's always dealt with everything. And, when he shares a song on Facebook, it's like, I know what he's going through because of the song he's sharing. Last year, my nephew overdosed, and my brother was out on the road when he found out his son passed. And it took him, a couple days to get home because he was in America. And so he was driving home, and the whole way home, he listened to all his favorite songs. And Cody Jinks was one that he listened to a lot. And so a few months after my nephew passed, my brother went to one of Cody's shows And it was just like this huge release because
Release.
that got him through. By the time he got, up to Canada for the wake and the funeral, he was strong enough to take on what he had to face because of the music. Yeah, whatever, he was alone out on the road, but listening to that music, I'm sure he cried. I'm sure he shed a lot of tears. He said that he talked to his son. He screamed, he talked, he argued, he reasoned, he begged, and then again it was music that took that all in, and then by the time he got home, he was strong enough to face what he had to face. So I think a lot of truck drivers, they relate to the songwriting, even if they don't write, they're relating to the songwriting that lives in these songs, these stories. That I think for a lot of them, it's like a lifeline,
Wow.
for sure.
I'm so sorry about your nephew, obviously, for
Thank
one.
you.
And I know you don't have a crystal ball, but Crystal Shawanda ball. You don't have a Shawanda ball. If you did, though, is there anything? What was your nephew's name?
Jules.
Jules.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think would writing have been, maybe not specifically for Jules, in general, what could writing do for someone to hopefully save them from becoming, going down that path? Like, is there, I mean, I know it's not, and I'm not saying it's an alternative to therapy.
For sure.
Traditional therapy is still, of course, amazing. But I think some people don't take the step into therapy, A, because it's expensive, and B, because we're like nervous to open up someone we don't know. There are all the
Absolutely.
reasons why. Why to you is writing, let's say specifically for your people back home, what could writing do to shift their whole trajectory?
Oh, it could mean everything. Like my nephew, he actually was a writer. He wrote poems, and he was would write. He created his own hip hop songs on his laptop, and that's when he was at his best. And I think when he got away from that, actually, is when he really started to struggle. When he stopped writing, when he stopped creating, that's when it was easier for all of this other stuff to take over. The sadness, the heaviness. It became more difficult for him to deal with because he didn't have that release anymore. So I think writing is essential for anybody. And like he said, he used to say, I don't want to be a star. I don't want it on the radio. This is just for me. That's what he used to say. And so I think I would encourage anybody, just write what you're feeling. Don't worry about if it rhymes. Like I said, those books that I used to write, that saved my life. Like I wouldn't have made it off the reservation if it wasn't for me writing all of my feelings down. And some of the pages are just me cussing somebody out.
We have a few of those pages here, by the way. I was going to read from. No.
I'm like, I got to do something with these because, like, someday if something ever happens, somebody reads those books.
Burn the book.
Yeah, it's like they're basically like burn books, basically, from the Mean Girls movie. But I think it would help a lot of people. I could see it helping. I know people personally who it has helped. And like I said, it helped me. So I know from experience that it can really change your life.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, I can't believe an hour's almost out. We have just a couple minutes left. You guys are currently out on you're always, by currently I mean always.
Yes.
You're always out on the road. You guys, you homeschool your daughter and you travel together as a family unit. I want to ask you more about that later off air because as we started the show, I said, doing like life differently.
Mm-hmm.
I would love you to end the show and just how you guys do life, but how have you and encouraging other people to find what works for them and do it. And could be you guys are living a very different life than most people. And I think some people would look at it and be like, well, that's great. It works for them. I couldn't do that. Yeah, you could. If you want to and you make it a priority, you can. So just speak a little into that, please, and encourage people to follow their not even dream, follow your talent, follow what lights you up. I think, right?
Yeah, well, that's my whole thing is like I always share in all the reels and on my social media and motivational speaking is to build the life you want because you only get one ride and it goes by so fast. Yeah. So you got to figure out what makes you happy, what makes you truly happy because for a long time I thought having a big record deal and being on country music radio and performing at the Grand Ole Opry, I thought that was going to make me happy. But then I did all that. And then I was like, why am I like, as each accomplishment and milestone happened, I should have been like, yay. But I was like, okay, what's next?
Now what?
That's not normal. You know, I should have been celebrating, but I wasn't. And it took me a minute to figure out that because I was, you know, not necessarily singing the songs that I wanted to sing or the way I wanted to sing them. You know, I was slowly being forced to alienate my family back home on the reservation and my family here in Nashville, my husband, my dad and my brother, those kinds of things, you know. And I just stepped away and I just realized family is the most important thing to me because all of this is temporary, you know. Your career is going to change. The people you work with, those are going to change, you know. But my family, that's forever. And if I push my family away now just so I could be a big star for a decade and then turn around, then what do I have? You know, you go to home to a hotel room all alone. Yay, this is so fun. Never have time to go on vacation.
Every once in a while, it's fun as a mom.
Yeah,
to be alone. But
and then staying at fancy hotels, but never swimming in the swimming pools. Like that was a big thing because when I was a little kid growing up on the reserve, I used to say someday I'm going to be a singer so I could swim in swimming pools all the time. Like that was literally one of my motivating factors. And then there I was on tour, you know, and I never had time to swim in swimming pools. I remember driving by a lake and seeing all these people in boats and swimming, and we were on the tour bus, and I'm like, God, that looks fun. I wish I could do that. And I hadn't been on a lake at that point in like 3 years. And so that was the beginning of me slowly building the life I wanted. And every choice I make is leading me to the life that I want. And that's spending time with my family, creating moments for my daughter to spend time with my parents, and me being able to watch them together. That's fulfilling to me. That's the priority for me. Having moments with my husband and my daughter, creating memories. And it's like, and as busy as we are, we're actually not as busy as we usually are because we're taking time off the road because she's in dance classes 3 days a week. So that's our whole priority. And I've turned down some huge opportunities and shows and things to go overseas, cruises, you know, because that's my priority right now is because our daughter, Shawanda, she's grown up on the road, on the stage and recording studios. Like my first 2 albums, I was literally holding her in my arms while I did my vocals. And if I was still signed with like a major company and had a big producer, they would never have let that happen. Of course not. You know, but she has been by my side through all of it. And we went to the awards. She was right beside me. We performed at the awards up in Canada. She was right there with us performing. And, you know, we're slowly helping her build her career. And that's what I tell her. So we're not making you a star. We're building you a career. You know,
building you the life that you
want. Yes,
sweet
because
daughter.
You want to have the freedom to do the things you enjoy, like going to Disney World whenever you feel like it, going swimming, hanging out with your cousins, and you can't do that if you're something like a big star, you know, and so it's all about her happiness. And I always tell her every night before we go on stage, do you feel like singing tonight? And if she said, I always tell her, you can say no. I will love you no matter what. I'll never be disappointed in you. I'll always be so excited, whatever you say. And then she goes, oh, I want to sing, Mom. Yeah. and then I always say, okay.
In fact, Mom, get off the stage.
Yeah. Oh, she's ready. She's ready to take over. But I always tell her, just be yourself and just be Jaja. Just be 9-year-old Jaja. Don't feel pressure to act grown up. Just be 9-year-old Jaja. So sometimes she'll cut into a Roblox dance on stage and, you know, and sometimes she'll tell a funny joke and that, you know, and I never know what she's going to say or do on stage, and it's always fun to watch what's going to happen, you know. But yeah, it's always a surprise, and so I don't put so much pressure on her. I don't put a bunch of pressure on my husband, and it's quality of life.
Yeah,
that's what our whole thing is, and that's what I try to encourage everybody is. You have to do what makes you happy. Figure out what's the quality of life that's going to make you feel good, and just be brave enough to go for it and stop caring so much what people think. Because, you know, when you care about what people think, that's when you get caught into that idea of keeping up with the Joneses, right? And that's not good.
Real words of wisdom from Crystal Shawanda. What have we learned today? Swim in swimming pools and release.
Yes.
Release. By writing, by singing, by dancing, whatever you got to. Live, laugh, love, guys.
Yes, and heal your inner child. That's what being a mom has been for me.
Same.
Yes, it's like learning to run and play in playgrounds and not worry if somebody thinks I look ridiculous, you know, and playing at the trampoline park. We love going to the trampoline park, and I look ridiculous, but it's so much fun.
So good. Look ridiculous more often, guys.
Yes.
This time was amazing. I appreciate you sharing, so much that you've said today. And I'm just excited you're out there doing it, not only for yourself, but for all the artists that you're mentoring, your daughter as well, sharing your lessons. Crystal Shawanda, my friend, now yours as well. Find her, Shawanda. We'll post the link below. It's so fun to say, Shawanda. We'll post the link below and check her out on tour all the time for the rest of her life. Because you can keep going until you don't want to, right?
Absolutely. That's the plan.
Love
Till
you,
my
friend.
daughter takes over.
Yeah.
And then I'll be in the background doing her hair and doing her laundry.
You'll be back up singing for her.
Yes.
Thank you, friend. I love you.
Thanks
for being
Love
here
you
today.
too.
Guys, this has been We Should Write. It's executive produced by, well, me. Technically produced by Zach and Seamus there in the back. Check out more episodes coming up soon. And also check out Lindsay's essay of the day, where I get to write as well.
I love those.
Thanks. Y'all have the best day. We'll be back.